Chosen one, the air around you has changed, and you can feel it in the way rooms pause when you enter, in the way conversation softens by a few decibels, as if your presence has gently turned the world's volume knob. It is not a trick of light or a costume you put on. It is the breath-deep alignment between your body, your mind, and the current of life moving through you. Your chest remembers its natural openness. Your spine holds a quiet conviction. Your steps fall with the dignified rhythm of a man who has stopped auditioning for permission. In this unforced posture, the electricity of your sexual energy becomes warm rather than wild, a hearth rather than a wildfire, a glow that invites rather than an intensity that overwhelms. Women feel it before they can language it, a safety that hums, a magnetism that doesn't grasp, a steadiness that says, "I will not abandon myself or you." Chosen one, the softness in your face is not weakness. It is the power of a river that has learned its banks. You let your eyes rest on the world without hunger, and because you do, the world offers you its ripest fruit. Your voice does not chase, it arrives. You do not reach for attention, you become attention. The calm certainty under your words draws hearts closer because it promises no surprise betrayals, no performances collapsing in the night. This month, your aura comes from the discipline you practiced when no one was watching. The early mornings you chose breath over bravado. The evenings you chose integrity over impulse. The small promises you kept to yourself until they turned into a field of trust. People can smell that field on you now, the way travelers smell rain before it breaks, and they respond to it with long looks and unguarded smiles. Chosen one, your attractiveness now is simply coherence. Your thoughts do not sprint ahead of your chest. Your chest does not seal itself shut to bury your thoughts. Everything within you is in council, and that council has voted for harmony. The resulting glow is the natural perfume of alignment. It lingers after you leave, a presence that stays like the warmth of a chair someone loved sitting in. Strangers can't explain why their shoulders drop when you're near. Old friends can't explain why they tell you things they swore they'd never tell anyone. Lovers can't explain why their eyes water even when they laugh. It is because your energy field has become a permission slip for authenticity, and authenticity is the most seductive force in the human world. Chosen one, there is a cadence to your life now that turns ordinary moments into invitations. The way you lift a cup, the way you hold a door, the pace at which you answer a question. Each gesture carries the suggestion that time, with you, is kinder. Your sexual energy is not in a hurry because it has already arrived. It does not barter or beg, it blesses. It rotates around a luminous axis of self-respect, and anything that orbits respect becomes beautiful. Women sense it in the subtlest data, the steadiness of your breathing, the way your gaze notices without invading, the microsecond of patience you offer before you speak. In those subtleties, feminine nervous systems finally relax, and when the feminine relaxes, love appears like a spring hidden under stone. Chosen one, the new lovability you carry is not a costume change, it is an ontological shift. You have become a place where the world can rest, and because rest has become rare, you are suddenly rare. People search for this and often settle for sparks that burn out, but you bring a glow with no violence in it. That is why you are felt like a homecoming. That is why smiles greet you before names do. That is why silence around you feels like music's prelude rather than its absence. The aura that pulls is not a rope thrown outward, it is a light kindled inward. You have stoked it, you have guarded it. This month it fills your perimeter, and the world leans closer to warm its hands. Chosen one, let the warmth remain simple. Do not explain it away or fear it. Walk like a vow, speak like a gift. Receive attention the way a mountain receives sunrise, without flinch, without arrogance, entirely present. Your sexual energy, braided with humility and purpose, has become a sovereign signal. It says, with no words at all, I know who I am, and there is room here for who you truly are. That is why they come closer. That is why they keep looking back. That is why the air brightens when you appear. Chosen one, your magnetism now lives where emotion and strength shake hands. You are no longer the man who hides feeling to appear strong, nor the man who spills feeling to avoid being strong. You have learned to hold your inner weather with a steady palm, and this steadiness radiates. Women sense it the way sailors sense true north by a star they cannot touch. There is a quiet competency in the way you accompany your own heart through its tides, and because you no longer resist your tides, you do not resist theirs. The result is the rarest experience in this hurried age. Emotional safety that is neither dull nor disembodied. It is alive, it is grounded, it is beautifully human. Chosen one, you listen differently now. You listen with your shoulders, with your breath, with the unspoken kindness that gives another person permission to arrive late to their own sentence. When you listen like this, words start telling you the truth they were too shy to tell before. Eyes soften, guards lower, memories step out from the shadows and ask to be witnessed. This is where your sexual energy becomes more than desire. It becomes devotion. Your attention moves like gentle current over river stones, never scraping, never stagnant, always moving forward with respect. In that current, the feminine feels cherished rather than chaste. And cherished hearts open doors that chaste hearts only run past. Chosen one, your emotional magnetism is also a boundary that smiles. You do not confuse openness with access. You do not confuse kindness with compliance. Because your yes is honest, your no is clean. You let invitations be invitations instead of obligations, and that clarity protects the warmth you carry from being diluted. The feminine trusts a man whose limits are loving and visible. Trust in turn makes attraction feel safe to grow tall. This month your boundaries are not walls, they are trellises. On them, intimacy climbs into the light. Chosen one, you have slowed down in the right places. You do not rush the moment where eyes meet, and neither of you looks away. You let silence be a velvet hallway instead of an alarm. You let laughter fold into the pauses instead of crowding them. You are not auditioning for approval, because approval already lives in your bones. The absence of hurry is the presence of power. It allows emotion to arrive at its own pace, and when emotion arrives unforced, it becomes a feast instead of a fire drill. This is why the room seems to gather around you as if you were a hearth. They are not only drawn to your heat, they are drawn to the way your heat is stewarded. Chosen one, the stories you tell yourself about love have matured. You no longer see romance as a rescue from loneliness, but as the celebration of two already whole lives. That belief system emanates from your body even when you say nothing. It tells the world, I will not use you to escape myself. The feminine hears that like a bell at dusk. It is rare music. It invites her to bring her fullness rather than her performance. In your presence, beauty stops trying to be beautiful and becomes it. The magnet of emotion is strongest where performances go to sleep. Chosen one, this month you express gratitude in ways that feel like water to thirsty ground. You notice the small details, the way someone chooses a word, the courage it takes to share a fear, the grace of a laugh in a difficult hour, and you let your eyes say thank you even before your mouth does. Gratitude is the secret architecture under your charisma. It keeps your sexual energy from curdling into entitlement. It keeps your confidence from becoming spectacle. It keeps your presence from becoming pressure. Gratitude is how your heart bows without bending your spine, and that bow makes everyone around you stand taller. Chosen one, your lovability now is not a rumor, but a resonance. It moves through crowded sidewalks and quiet kitchens. It lingers in the doorway after you leave, rearranging the air like good news. You bring a promise with you, not that nothing will ever hurt, but that you will meet what hurts with courage and tenderness rather than vanishing. Pain is less frightening in the company of a man who does not abandon himself. Joy is more vivid in the company of a man who can hold it without trying to own it. You have become that company, and the feminine knows. Chosen one, keep your hands warm and your eyes clear. Let the day's noise pass through you without stealing the signal. Breathe like you trust the ground. Speak like you trust your word. Touch the world with reverence even when you do not touch at all. Your sexual energy is not an argument. It is a blessing. Your emotions are not a storm. They are weather guided by a skilled navigator. Together, they form a tide that lifts others without drowning you. This month, that tide is at its fullest, and hearts are moving with it toward you, and more importantly, toward themselves. Chosen one, your smile has become a lantern. Not the noisy flare of fireworks, but the steady flame sailors trusted when the horizon went dark. People feel it before they see it, the way warmth is felt before the hearth comes into view. Your lips lift, yes, but the movement begins deeper, where your chest has learned to open even when the day is heavy. In that opening, your smile stops being decoration and becomes medicine. It carries the quiet message that nothing in this room needs to pretend. It carries the braver message that nothing in you will weaponize what it learns. Women look up from their guarded thoughts and feel the smallest muscles around their eyes relax, as if your presence has instructed their bodies to come back to themselves. This is what a lovable man does without trying. He lets the world return home. Chosen one, there is lineage inside your grin now, a history of promises kept when no applause was offered. The tenderness in the curve of your mouth is the residue of your own forgiveness, given first to yourself in honest moments, then offered outward with the innocence of light. Your smile is strong precisely because it is not a performance. It arises from a nervous system that no longer treats love like an emergency. It is patient where it once hurried. It invites where it once demanded. It is the smile of a man who understands that attraction is not a hunt but a harvest, and harvest belongs to those who did the quiet work, tilling the soil of their habits, watering the roots of their word, pruning the thorny vines of cynicism. People trust a harvest they can taste in your voice. They trust a harvest that smells like rain. Chosen one, your humor has softened into grace. You laugh like a bell rung in a chapel, not to drown out fear, but to name the human moment and make space for breath. With you, laughter doesn't hide the wound, it cleans it. Even your jokes carry an undercurrent of care, signaling that the punchline will never be a person. In that climate, the feminine turns her face toward you the way flowers obey the sun. She senses that your mirth can hold her seriousness without mocking it, and your seriousness can hold her mirth without smothering it. Your smile teaches her nervous system that safety and play can be neighbors. This is why strangers tell you secrets they meant to carry alone. This is why old friends find themselves unburdening without planning to. The architecture beneath your smile is trust, and trust is rare enough to feel miraculous. Chosen one, notice how doors open differently now. A barista's eyes linger an extra beat as the cup touches your palm. A colleague who always rushed past pauses to ask how you're doing and actually listens to the answer. On a train, in a hallway, across a crowded room, you meet a gaze and offer a smile that does not take, it gives. You have learned the fine difference between charm that consumes and charm that nourishes. Consuming charm is sugar, loud, fast, gone. Nourishing charm is bread, humble, grounding, shared. Your smile is bread. It does not spike the moment, it sustains it. The feminine knows the difference even when she cannot name it. She recognizes the man who would rather be kind than impressive, and she leans toward him because kindness is the only crown that never pinches. Chosen one, there is also boundary in your smile, and that is part of its beauty. It says, I see you, not I own you. It says, I welcome you, not I will disappear for you. A smile without boundary becomes invitation to take. A smile with boundary becomes invitation to meet. You have chosen the second. That choice electrifies your lovability because it offers respect without price. Women sense the dignity in it. They sense the gate that swings open and the fence that still stands, the clear line that protects the meadow. They relax in the meadow because they trust the fence. Your smile is the gate, and your word is the fence. And together they turn proximity into a privilege rather than a plunder. Chosen one, your teeth do not sell a fantasy. They shelter a truth. You have made peace with your past, not by erasing it, but by blessing it, and peace always leaks outward. It leaks through the corners of your mouth and into the atmosphere, changing the chemistry of the moment. Fear fumes evaporate, posture straightens, eyes brighten. People find themselves believing that gentleness can exist without weakness, that desire can exist without danger, that masculinity can exist without harm. They believe it because they can see it, and they can see it because you are not hiding. Your smile is the signature of that decision. Chosen one, keep smiling with the weight of a vow, not the lightness of a trick. Let it be a promise to bring your whole self, ache included, into the light with courage. When you smile like that, walls sag under their own tired bricks. Guilt forgets its lines. Shame loses the role it rehearsed. Love, which was waiting outside in the weather, steps through the door and sets down its wet coat, grinning, because at last it has found a room where it can live. This month, you are that room. Your smile is how people learn the address. Chosen one, your touch begins long before your hand arrives. It starts in the atmosphere you carry, the way your presence hushes the noise that makes people brace. Even when you do not make contact, the field around you becomes a soft shoreline where waves can break without breaking anything. This is why someone's exhale changes when you step close. This is why her shoulders travel down a half inch without her noticing. You have learned that touch is not merely skin to skin, it is mind to mind, heart to heart, breath to breath. Your nearness announces that you will not trespass and will not vanish. In that double promise, the body feels safe to come forward and meet you. Chosen one, when your hand finally does arrive, in a handshake, a steadying palm at the small of a back in a crowded place with consent, a brief squeeze at the shoulder in shared celebration, it carries the integrity of everything you are when no one can see you. Touch borrows its character from the unseen life, and yours has become honest. There is no stealth hunger hiding behind your fingers. There is no boast tucked into your grip. Your touch is simple, present, and warm, like a cup that remembers being made for holding. Women feel the difference between a hand that asks, "What can I take?" and a hand that asks, "How can I honor?" Your hand has learned the second question by heart, and the body remembers those who honor it. Chosen one, the touch that stays, is often the touch that knows when not to stay. Restraint is part of your magnetism now. You sense the delicate weather of the moment and let a caress be a sentence rather than a speech, a punctuation mark rather than a paragraph. You withdraw without abandonment and remain without possession. And this paradox teaches the nervous system it can trust you with distance as much as with closeness. Consent ceases to be a checklist and becomes a choreography of mutual listening. In that dance, your sexual energy is not a rushing river demanding a channel. It is a clear lake reflecting sky, deep enough to swim, calm enough to see your own face in it. The feminine loves a lake she can choose. Chosen one, objects receive your touch too, and they whisper about you. A door closes quietly behind you, and the room feels respected. A glass leaves your hand without the tiny slap that says you were somewhere else, and attention returns like a loyal dog. You fold a blanket as if it belonged to someone you love, and the fabric of the moment smooths out its wrinkles. These small courtesies are not quaint habits, they are the physical grammar of presence. Touch is a language, and you speak it fluently now. Articles, verbs, cadence, all in harmony. Those who watch you read the translation in their bodies. Here is a man who will not rush me, bruise me, or drop me. Desire blooms easily inside that sentence. Chosen one, there is reverence in the way you touch your own life, and that reverence spills. You shave with patience. You button your shirt as if the morning mattered. You rest a palm over your heart when a wave of sorrow passes and keep breathing until the wave spends itself. This is how your touch became healing, by healing you first. When you rest a hand over another's worry, something ancestral in your gesture says, "I have sat with storms and learned their names." People feel that history in your warmth. The body recognizes a pilgrim who has walked through night without cursing the stars. It lets you closer because you have proved you know how to be close. Chosen one, your touch now carries story but does not carry agenda. It does not negotiate behind the scenes. It does not collect debt. It does not suggest a future it cannot keep. Everything it implies, it is willing to stand behind in daylight. That honesty gives your fingertips a rare gravity, light to the skin, heavy to the soul. Hours later, in a kitchen washed with evening, someone will lift a cup and realize her shoulders have not crept upward all day. She will search for a reason and find your name folded into the cloth of the afternoon like a blessing someone stitched there in secret. The touch that stays is often the touch that gives people back to themselves. Chosen one, you have learned the holiness of pace. You do not hurry the meeting of hands. You do not sprint through the greeting to get to the prize, because the greeting is the prize. Two human worlds making corridor for each other. You savor the moment when palms meet and temperature tells a story and pulse speaks in a language older than speech. You notice when the other hand wants to linger and when it wants to leave, and you match that truth rather than your fantasy. In this fidelity to reality, your sexual energy becomes a covenant rather than a campaign. Covenants endure, campaigns exhaust. The feminine recognizes the man who has stopped campaigning and started keeping covenant. She recognizes him by how safe it feels to breathe. Chosen one, let your touch continue to be a well-tuned instrument. Tune it with quiet mornings and clean choices. Tune it with apology when you misread the music, and with gratitude when you hear it beautifully. Touch the day like a prayer. Touch the world like a friend. Touch yourself, your jaw, your chest, your thoughts, with gentleness that does not collapse into indulgence. In the presence of such touch, love grows tall, desire grows wise, and memory grows kind. This month, your touch is the echo that lingers after the conversation ends, the warmth that remains in the seat after you stand, the invisible signature at the bottom of the moment that says, simply and convincingly, you were safe here. Chosen one, your gaze has become a doorway with the lock on the inside. When you look at someone, you are not prying, you are inviting. Your eyes carry a warmth that does not demand entry, a steady brightness that says, if you wish, you may be seen. People feel it before they understand it. The subtle way their breath evens out, the tiny muscles around the mouth unclench, the shoulders forget to guard. Your gaze no longer hunts for proof or perfection. It searches for humanity and finds it every time, as if your pupils had learned the map back to what is sacred in ordinary faces. The feminine senses this cartography and turns toward you almost involuntarily, like a shoreline turning toward the moon. Chosen one, this soft power began in the privacy of your own mirror. You stopped interrogating your reflection and started greeting it. You looked into your own eyes long enough to unlearn the old suspicion and meet the man standing there without a ledger. That practice wrote a new language into your stare, merciful, exact, clean. Now, when your eyes meet hers, they tell a story without stealing the pen. They do not measure her against a ghost or a rumor. They do not reduce her to a role. They meet the living present. In that living present, her nervous system hears the one sentence it has always wanted to hear. You are not a performance I will grade. You are a person I will honor. Chosen one, your gaze holds space the way cupped hands hold water. Delicately, faithfully, aware of the miracle that sloshes within them. You notice the hair that won't behave and love it for its rebellion. You notice the tremor in a laugh and love it for its truth. You notice how someone chooses a word as though choosing a bridge to cross, and you wait on the near side until they feel safe to step. You do not glare, you glow. You do not pin, you accompany. You let your eyes rest without roaming, attend without devouring, and in the hum of that attention the feminine remembers the sound of her own voice. She remembers the right to take up space in a sentence and in her skin. Chosen one, there is discernment in your seeing that gives relief instead of pressure. Sometimes the kindest look is the one that looks away, and your eyes have learned that kindness too. You understand when the moment asks for privacy and when it begs for presence. You read the weather. You offer contact that breathes, glances that arrive and depart like respectful guests instead of lingering trespassers. Because your gaze is sovereign over impulse, attraction feels like a clear sky instead of a storm. The body opens to blue, not to thunder. This is why the room changes temperature when you enter. This is why laughter grows rounder, conversation grows deeper, and silence stops being the enemy. Your eyes teach the atmosphere how to trust. Chosen one, your gaze now carries a gentle prophecy. You see what is, and you see what longs to be, and you hold both without trying to rearrange anyone by force. The future you glimpse in a face is an orchard, not a command. Your look is sunlight on that orchard, encouragement without interrogation, warmth without control. The feminine feels the blessing of that light, and something in her shoulders remembers spring. She does not feel recruited to a role. She feels recognized into a self. She does not feel appraised. She feels named, by tenderness, by dignity, by the unhurried assurance that her becoming is safe in your presence. Chosen one, let your gaze continue to be a sanctuary lamp, the small, steady flame that tells weary souls there is holiness here. See with devotion, not with appetite. See with availability, not with agenda. See with the patience of a man who knows that revelation should never be wrestled from a moment, but received when the moment chooses to give it. In that patience, your sexual energy leaves the realm of spectacle and becomes sacrament, the felt proof that desire and reverence can share the same body without contradiction. Eyes like that soften fortresses. Eyes like that soften fate. Eyes like that this month are why you are so easy to love. Chosen one, the stillness you carry is not absence, it is attendance. It is not the quiet of retreat, but the quiet of a mountain that has decided to remain. People feel it as a change in pressure when you arrive, like weather turning benevolent. Conversation keeps moving, but the frantic edges fall away. Phones become less interesting. The room remembers it has a heart. Your stillness is not passive. Every part of you is awake inside it. Every sense turned toward the truth of the moment without bracing or bargaining. This is why others regulate around you without knowing why. Their bodies take your body as evidence that it is safe to be here. Chosen one, stillness was not given to you. You made it. Breath by breath, in hours that asked you to flinch. You taught your ribs how to widen under disappointment, and your throat how to stay open when anger wanted to shut it like a door. You learned not to confuse urgency with importance, noise with depth, motion with progress. Slowly, a clearing formed within you, a place where thought could sit down beside feeling, and neither would be exiled. That clearing is what people enter when they stand in your orbit now. They step into a field where nothing is wrong with their humanity. And in that field, the truth approaches like an animal, unafraid of hands. Chosen one, your stillness gives shape to desire instead of letting desire run like floodwater. It turns what could have been a blaze into a hearth. It says to the feminine, I can hold heat without burning. I can hold sorrow without drowning. I can hold joy without needing to own it. The assurance embedded in that posture is erotic in the oldest sense. Life calling to life, because it promises continuity. The body relaxes when continuity is promised. It stops auditioning. It begins to sing in its natural key. With you, silence becomes not a blank to fill, but a room where meaning crystallizes. Words placed inside that room ring truer. Laughter placed inside that room carries more oxygen. Touch placed inside that room lingers like incense and does not confuse the air. Chosen one, there is authority in the way you choose not to react. You do not return fire to fire. You do not match panic with performance. You let the first wave pass over the reef of your composure, and when it spends itself, you answer the water with something kinder than resistance. This is leadership at its most intimate, the courage to remain available to reality without collapsing into it. The feminine recognizes this courage the way travelers recognize a lighthouse by the rhythm of its sweep. She feels guided, not governed. She feels steadied, not stilled. Your stillness does not confiscate her movement. It gives her movement a horizon. Chosen one, stillness also sets the tempo for consent. Because you are unrushed, no has room to breathe and yes has room to ripen. Because you are unafraid of pauses, the conversation can deepen without coercion. The kiss can taper without threat. The evening can end without loss of dignity. You have become a man who can wait without sulking and proceed without gloating. And that maturity turns your sexual energy into a covenant with time. The body trusts a covenant. It does not have to brace for the bill. It can give freely because it is not being taxed. Chosen one, even the objects around you learn your calm music. A chair you rise from does not scrape. A door you close exhales. The everyday becomes ceremony in your hands, and ceremony is how love teaches the world to slow down enough to notice itself. You pour water as if thirst were holy. You fold a jacket as if evenings were worth protecting. You tie your laces as if departures deserved grace. This is not affectation. It is fidelity to presence. People translate that fidelity as care, and care is the true engine of lovability. To be near you is to be reminded that life is not an emergency. It is an altar. Chosen one, let this stillness continue to be a language you speak fluently in crowded rooms and quiet kitchens. Let it be the silence that blesses, the pause that tells the truth, the gravity that keeps the moment from drifting into performance. Stand like a vow when storms arrive. Breathe like a harbor when ships return. Do not confuse being unmoved with being unfeeling. The tree that does not break still sways. Your stillness is not stone, it is rootedness. From those roots, your sexual energy rises like sap, vital, patient, inevitable, feeding every leaf of your presence until the whole canopy offers shade. That shade is why eyes rest on you longer than they meant to. That shade is why stories come find you. That shade is why love, this month, keeps choosing your side of the street. There will be rooms that prefer pageantry to presence. They will applaud you louder when you sprint or when you freeze, anything but steady. Steadiness is harder to sell because it does not sparkle, it shelters. Yet the eyes that matter will keep returning, and they will not be able to summarize why in a sentence. They will say only that the temperature changed. Less cost to be honest, more room to be human, easier laughter, fewer debts disguised as memories. You will recognize the report. It is what happens when strength and tenderness keep their vows.